What's up, brothers? I'm very excited to hold another podcast. Today we have very special guests. We have my assistant coach, Lizzie, who's been with me for over 10 years, and my top student, who's also been with me since the very beginning, 2011. So, what we have today are three people who are on the same wavelength, really deep into this philosophy of how to attract women through methods of integrity and how to do it in a way that actually works. So today we're going to pick Lizzie's brain. We're going to hear her insights. Mehmet is going to help, elaborate on the principles. And basically, the purpose of this podcast is to help you become very good with women and get the women ultimately the kind of women that you truly want. So, we're going to start with a little recap with Mehmet, and then after that, we're going to start talking with Lizzie, where we're going to talk about the red flags that you should look out for when listening to dating advice online that you're seeing in your feed. So, with that, let's turn it over to Mehmet.
In the last episode, we talked about some crucial mistakes and how to replace them with healthy behavior, such as instead of trying to say and do the right thing, we recommended transparency and radical honesty, which will turn the game into fun, turn the socializing into fun for you instead of, oh, I'm trying to convince this girl to be with me. And this is this is very important because it lets you be who you are, and as you be yourself, you are being confident and you are demonstrating confidence through this. So being yourself and normal isn't just, oh, you are being boring, you are demonstrating something, so it's very powerful. Do you do any of you guys want to elaborate, or
Well, we can get into it after, but just give like a recap from the last episode, and then we can circle back
okay,
after.
okay. The second important thing we talked about is not trying to create attraction on the field while you are socializing. And rather than that, we are trying to spot the girls who are already liking us and discovering the attraction and talking to them. The third, most importantly, it was the principle of mastermind, not going on this journey alone, because this is a very emotional and sensitive topic for men.
Okay, thank you. So, yeah, so we're gonna continue to elaborate on those topics today. But now let's shift to Lizzie, and she's gonna give us some perspectives on what she's seeing online with the dating advice.
Yeah, so basically, the problem with dating advice on social media, in my opinion, is that a lot of the time, when they're not good at dating advice, they're good at social media. They're good at creating sound bites that go viral and that get a lot of traction and stuff. And there's no quality control at all about what you're saying, whether it's true, whether there's any sort of integrity to it. It's all just about what gets picked up by social media algorithms. And so the people who end up with massive followings are just people who are really good at being controversial or whatever. Um, and obviously, people are just constantly bombarded with that advice. And I don't think that people, a lot of the time, especially younger guys, don't know how to pick out what's good or what's bad. And it's so easy to believe that just because someone has a lot of followers, they're giving good advice, you know?
Yeah, 100%. So, yeah, just because you land on a channel with someone who has a large following and is speaking about the topic of dating and seduction in a very confident way with certainty in their voice, those two things do not then imply that they actually know what they're talking about.
Mm.
Yeah, so I see that a lot of the time. So the game of social media is this. Let me say the most controversial thing, to get the most attention and to stir the most emotions. So yeah, like people are, if you're listening to advice from someone just because they have a big following, then you got to look deeper than that.
Because social media is where nuance goes to die, and when you're talking about interpersonal relationships, you need nuance, you need detail. Like,
So
Yeah,
what are the most telltale signs we can say we should stay away from this channel? Maybe is it hateful emotions that is rising in us while listening to this channel, or what?
I would say the first one is women hate them. Like, anytime I've shown other women content that we've made together, they've liked that content. They've been like, oh yeah, okay, that's true. But because of the lack of controversy, that doesn't get you billions and billions of comments and stuff when you post it. And a lot of the time, by saying these really controversial things, women end up hating this advice and really boosting it on TikTok or Twitter or wherever it is. And then you get all those, have you heard the saying like, oh, you don't ask a fish how to fish? But implying that if women don't like the advice, that makes it good advice.
yeah, yeah. And another sign that the advice that's like you're saying, Mehmet, like if you're watching the advice and it's starting to fill you with hatred against the opposite sex, then even if you don't know why you're getting that feeling enough should tell you that that person is guiding you the wrong way. Because a seducer ultimately loves women and is on women's side. He's not against women. Let's take sexuality out of the equation altogether. If I hate money, am I going to attract money? No, I'm going to repel money. Well, if you hate women, and then like Lizzie is explaining, these controversial guys are basically preaching hate women and treat them like whatever, and then it's like if you hate something, you push it away. That's the law of that's just a law, right? But people aren't understanding that basic law.
And that actually segues into the second thing I wanted to say, which is that they don't talk about pleasure. Like, it's meant to be fun. It's called game because it's meant to be fun, right? And a lot of the time, especially when you're watching these like quite like hateful things, I'm like, are you even enjoying this? Who is this? Who is benefiting from you following this advice? It doesn't seem like you're having a good time. It doesn't seem like the woman's having a good time. Like, for whose benefit does this exist?
Yeah, that's a great
Why do you
point.
want to attract something you don't like?
Exactly. Like that brings us back to the fundamental question that every man has to ask himself once the game has like turned into like a chore, is like, wait a second, why did I get into this game in the first place? Oh, well, I got into it to have fun, to have fulfillment in my life, to be happy, right?
Yeah, even if all you're going after is casual sex, it should be enjoyable for both people. It shouldn't be a chore that you're doing because you feel like you have to, or because you feel like it makes you more of a man or something. No, you're enjoying it.
100%, 100%. So is there anything else, Lizzie, that like you wanted to talk about regarding like red flags or what you've seen?
I would say if it makes you like, they're giving very prescriptive advice about you should ask these questions. Your personality should be like this, like, because on the one hand, if they're telling you to completely change your personality, on the one hand, people are saying be more confident, but they're also subconsciously going in and telling you you're not good enough the way you are.
Very powerful.
And
Yeah, keep going.
yeah, I mean, obviously there's got to be a balance, right? Because just telling someone just be yourself isn't good advice. But we're talking about being the best version of yourself, the version of yourself that you want to be, not being a completely different person and hoping that women are going to like that. Because even if it works, what have you gained there? You've lied your way into a relationship.
Yeah, that's such a great topic. So yeah, like let's make the distinction between what does it mean when women say just be yourself, what does it really mean? What it means is, like Lizzie said, well, there are pieces. Number one is when anybody, even me, tells you, "Hey, just be your authentic self." Women are gonna like you, or some women are gonna hate you. Some women are gonna like you. We can't attract everyone. What I'm saying is be the 10.0 version of yourself. So if Jad was showing up to women as the 2.0 version of himself, overweight, never shaving, eating junk food, being lazy in his life, and it's like, of course, if I'm just going as that version, of course, women aren't going to like me, right? But if I go as the 10.0 version of me, meaning improving myself in every way I can, and at the same time, I'm still going to show up with these things about me that are, let's call them my weaknesses or not my strengths. I'm a bit awkward, I'm a bit shy, I'm a bit quiet, all of these things. Well, the 10.0 version that still has this list of quote unquote weaknesses is still going to be liked by women. Women are saying, look, I'm going to forgive you even if you're not perfect because I'm not perfect either, right? So, yeah, it's very important. And the other piece, thank you, Lizzie, for pointing it out, is like, yeah, when you're listening to advice, I call it when a coach starts giving you absolutes. You know, you got to be alpha. You got to be this. You got to be that. You got to be that. If you're not this, then women and it basically implies that yeah, once you start buying into this too much, you basically think, oh, the real me is never enough, and so only a fake me is going to be lovable, which is false.
And I also think it that can breed resentment before you even get into a relationship, right? Because then you feel like before you've even met this girl, you've done so much to try and impress her, and already I've put in all this effort, I've changed myself, I've done all this stuff. She wasn't there, she didn't know about any of that stuff, but in your mind, she already owes you something for all that work you've done. You've already created this imbalance. She didn't
Yeah,
ask for that.
yeah, that's great. And I'll give you another perspective. Like one thing I hear a lot from guys is, oh, why should I put in all this work to be this kind of man when women don't have to do anything? They just have to show up. So how would you answer that?
I Do you really think women aren't doing anything? They're just showing up? I
Well,
think maybe, like, if it's done well, you don't notice it. And I think it's the same way for men. Like, if you're doing it well, it looks like it's effortless.
Interesting. So give us a kind of like behind the curtains, and I'm gonna play a bit of devil's advocate because I know what some guys are gonna say. Okay. So another argument that I can hit you with is, as a woman, you just have to look hot, and that's basically it. And then you're getting, excuse my language, but you're getting dick thrown at you just because you're hot. So,
Mhm.
like, include that in your like argument because
I mean, that probably is true to an extent, but like, when you're like walking through a busy touristy city and there's constantly people trying to sell you stuff, and you want them to go away. That's kind of like having dick thrown at you the whole time. You're just like, it's not what you want. Like of 100 guys that want to date you or want to sleep with you or whatever, there's probably three that you would realistically want to date or sleep with or whatever. And so actually quantity is not really a good thing in this case. A lot of the time. And like, yeah, to some degree, it is true that if you look good, you'll attract men in the first place. But I would also say if the only thing you're looking for in a woman is that she looks good, that's kind of on you. Like, we're not telling you to. Nobody's out here telling you to date women that just look good and have nothing else going for them. Like, you're totally within your rights to be like, well, you look good, but I also want a woman that has interests, is whatever, cooks amazingly. Yeah,
Okay, so like let's tie this back to Like you're saying, like, oh well, women are also like having to do some work in order to
Mm.
attract a mate. So what's the struggle for women behind the curtain that men are just thinking is not there and everything? Basically, men are like, oh, women are just having it easy. They can find their dream guy easy. They can get everything easy. So what's
Well,
really happening behind the curtain?
first off, just the skill of being able to weed through the guys that is also quite time consuming and work out which ones are authentic, which ones are gonna, obviously there's a small percentage that are gonna hurt you, and then there's a much bigger percentage that are gonna waste your time or just like not be, good like people to have in your life. Obviously there's all the other things that just normal people do to be successful, and I think that a mistake that men make about looking good for women is that they think that it's a shallow thing, but for women, it's almost like a cross-cultural relationship. Like, right? Like, for a woman, looking good is a marker of success in like women's culture, quote unquote. So, that's part of the effort that she's putting in. This is like the physical manifestation of the effort that we're putting into our self improvement and stuff, and that's only one aspect of it. So you can, I think, assume that if a woman's putting effort into the way that she looks, she's also taking care of her health. She's also doing some like inner work to be balanced, and it's just one of the many areas of personal development that women do, but it's the one obviously that's the most visible from the outside.
Okay, so I can relate this back to like this past year, I've been really focused on the concept of a man needs to become the 10.0 version of himself.
Mhm.
And then when I'm looking at the patterns of guys who are very successful with women, money, all that stuff versus the guys that aren't, there's a very clear correlation with how well a man, how fit he is, how
Mhm.
well he presents himself, his grooming, his clothing, all that stuff and that correlates to because he's the men who are very successful also are presenting themselves in a meticulous
Mm.
way, let's say.
Yeah.
So what Lizzie is saying to you guys is that um, in one sense, when you see a woman very well put together, it's kind of like how you do anything is how you do everything. So that could also be not necessarily always, but it could be a telltale sign that she is also like into developing herself and she's not just hot.
I also want to add something in a different aspect. If you have something valuable, for example, beauty, or I can be a very handsome guy, developing myself in other areas would be much harder if I compare myself to an, let's say, ugly guy who cannot get girls anyways, because there are so much distractions for me. I can get a girl like this, let's say, or a woman can have her fun every night without talking, thinking about developing herself. But if she is developing herself, she is sacrificing all this fun and she is improving herself. While you already cannot get anything and you are developing yourself. This is not the same. You are not sacrificing anything here.
Interesting perspective. Interesting.
But it is like that. If you have beauty, it comes with a cost of maybe ruining your life by not developing yourself in the later stage of your life. I think you can relate to this. Whereas the person who cannot have fun already is busy with developing himself because he had no choice.
Yeah, it's the difference between doing it by choice or by necessity.
Yeah, I'd also put in a warning there about like obviously if you're going to go purely for beauty, especially if you end up dating women who are significantly younger than you, like you're in your mid 30s and you want to go for like a 22, 24, 26 year old, they're just human, right? It's not realistic to expect a 22-year-old to be as developed, to be as mature as a 30-year-old and you're not being realistic or like it's kind of hypocritical to go for that and have that expectation.
Yeah, yeah. So circling back, the thing we started with was just like how do you counter the argument of like, oh, well, why do I have to do all this when women can just show up? And I think the answer to that is oh, here's what I wanted to say is like here's one thing that's behind the curtain, guys, that you don't really understand. And Lizzie said something, she said something new that I haven't thought about, so I'm gonna incorporate it, which is men's trouble is getting pussy. Women's trouble is finding good dick. Okay, so um, women's struggle is men's struggle is getting a woman. Women's struggle is finding a quality man and keeping him. Okay, so if you're feeling like, oh, it's not fair, only men are struggling. No, we just have different struggles. Your struggle is to get the kind of woman you want. The woman's struggle is to keep the kind of man she wants. And what Lizzie said that's like, I think very notable is like, like as an attractive woman, some men are going to lie to you and use you and lead you on and make you think that they have the intention to stay with you for a long time. But then they just, once they're done with you, they dump you. So, another thing that women are dealing with, just so you know that you're not the only ones struggling, is basically being lied to and used. So, it's kind of like if you're a guy and you were a trust fund baby and you inherited $500 million and everybody knows about it, then you never really know who your friend is. Like, did this person really like me, or are they here for the money? And humans are very deceptive. So the life of a hot woman is she probably is always like, oh, okay, and she's been burned a bunch of times. So another thing where you guys to get more compassion is like when women are skeptical when you go up to them, you need to understand you're dealing with a little innocent girl who believed in love who got fucked over, probably multiple times. And now she's like, okay, I got to be careful because human beings, men are deceptive because I have this thing that they want and they are willing to lie and mislead me in order to get it. So I think that's kind of like
To add to that, if so, say you're a trust fund kid and you've got like hundreds of millions of dollars, you would understand if that guy only wanted to be friends with other rich guys, right? Because you'd be like, well, I kind of get it that you don't want to be friends with guys who don't have any money because they're probably using you, but at least if your friends are all rich, you assume they're not using you for their money. So then if you see really attractive women, and I think people can get a bit bitter that they're like, well, I'm a good guy, why aren't you giving me a chance? It's like she wants to see that you're kind of on the same level as her and you're not, because then in her mind you could get other attractive women, and the reason you're going for her is that you genuinely like her.
elaborate.
So, um, I think another thing that can happen is sometimes a woman will be used not for sex, but because it makes you look cool to other men that you've got a hot girlfriend. And after a while it's like, this guy doesn't like me. He just likes the fact that it makes him look really cool that he's with this hot girl, right? And so in a way it's nicer to know that you could get someone else because that reassures you that your boyfriend could get someone else because that reassures you in the back of your mind that he likes me for me.
Okay, very good, very good. Yeah, so I like this topic of basically one thing that's not spoken about enough is women want a guy who's on their level or higher. Okay, and this whole thing about oh, I'm a good guy, why don't you give me a chance? My retort to that is Do you deserve a chance, motherfucker? Meaning, show me what time you're waking up. Show me your diet. Show me take your shirt off right now. Show me your bank account. Show me how hard you're working. Show me how little you spend on social media. Show me that you're not watching porn. Show me how much you're helping your people and your family. Show me that you're a fucking leader. Show me that you're living as the fucking example. Most answers to those questions are, oh, I'm not really doing that. Oh, I'm kind of watching porn. Oh, I'm kind of out of shape. Oh, I'm kind of lazy. I'm kind of skipping workouts. You're an average motherfucker. And then you want the thing that's the most coveted thing, which is hot pussy. Maybe you don't deserve it. Maybe you haven't done the work. Okay? And then it comes back to, oh, well, why do I have to do this? Here's another answer. Shut the fuck up. That's how the game is. Right? Pussy is one of the most valued things, whether you want to admit it or not, politically correct or not. As a man, the most coveted thing is beautiful women and ultimately that one quality woman to share your life with. And the game is, yeah, you got to work for it. And yeah, she's also got to show up. But why are you worrying so much about her? That's another problem. You guys are not focused enough on you. When I ask you all these questions and you're like, oh no, actually, I'm not the 10.0 version of me. Yeah, because you've been busy hating on women and seeing what they're not doing. How about what you're not doing, motherfucker? So, thank you for bringing that. Like, yeah, women are looking at you across the board. Here's another thing. Men are simplistic. Oh, she's hot. I love her. I want to marry her. Right? Women are like, oh, okay. What is he made of? What's his character like? You know, she's looking at you top to bottom across the board to see what are you made of. So, yeah. So, with that, Mehmet, do you want to take us on a new path?
Yes, first we should make a call to the guys who want to improve themselves to our group, isn't
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
it?
We have a group of amazing men who are busy becoming the highest versions of themselves, and together we're masterminding to figure out this game and to figure out how to just be that high level man that gets what he wants in his life. So if you're interested, there's a link below this video or on my channel page, which we welcome you to click and explore so you can join us inside of our masterminds.
Once you join and do the work and like yourself, you will see that your hate towards women disappear. You are hating yourself, not the opposite gender. Once you like yourself, people will also like you and get attracted to you, and you will get what you want, I promise.
Very nice. Okay, Mehmet, so what is our next topic?
Our topic is that I will play the devil's advocate and play a beginner person who would who would do everything to get the girl he likes. He is down to say and do the right thing. He is not considering anything. He would lie, he would manipulate, he would play like he is her friend instead of taking the risk of rejection. I am playing such a guy. I have, I think we have all been there. I was a person like this because I was so obsessed with I want a girlfriend, goddammit, and I am willing to do anything to get it. Okay?
Okay.
I am approaching girls with a
Okay,
goal
I
in
think
my
he
mind.
froze for a second. I think it'll come back.
Is it okay now?
Yes.
I have a goal in my mind and I am approaching Lizzie or Lizzie's friend or something. I have one goal in my mind, which is to make her like you, make her like me. What would you say to this good guy? Is he doing something wrong? What is the wrong thing in his mindset? What
Okay. Go ahead.
you can go ahead.
Okay, so the first thing is that um, the question is wrong is, what can I do to make her like me? Right? That's the wrong question. And that's the question that gets guys off track. the first question, perhaps of the whole game, is how can I become the man that is attractive to women? So this game is called the game of attraction, not the game of chasing. Okay? When I say, hey, how can I make girls like me? You're now in kind of like a chasing mode. When you say, how can I become the kind of man that women are naturally attracted to? What you're saying is, how can I make myself into a unit of value, aka a magnet? And what does a magnet do? It draws. So to attract means to draw in. So the first thing is, um, like kind of like my speech before, is I would get this guy first to just get disciplined and develop himself to the point where he's proud of the man he is. So one thing I say is, like, if we brought a camera crew into your life without warning right now, would you be like, hey guys, I'm so glad you showed up, come on in? Or are you going to be like, oh shit, because they're going to watch you with a box of tissues and your porn and your, your junk food, and, you're scrolling aimlessly, and, so who are you when nobody's watching? Another thing is, like, people think that who they are when no one's watching is hidden, but when you show up in front of me or women or whatever, we see all that you aren't. Let's say. Okay? I've become very sensitive because this is my job. When I talk to you, I can tell, okay, this guy's watching porn. I can tell how many times he goes to the gym, if at all. I can tell what his diet is. I can tell what his habits are. Like, it just comes through. So you're not fooling anybody.
Just because people don't pay attention themselves, they think other people are also not paying attention. Just like very simple. If you buy Apple AirPods, you will notice people who have Apple AirPods. If you buy a Ford car, you will start noticing, right? And just because you are ignorant and not noticing these things, don't think women are like you. Women are very experienced. They meet a lot of people even if they don't want to. So like they are very in tune, right? They understand what
Yes.
kind of a person they are dealing with.
Yes.
Um,
Go ahead.
I'd also say it goes back to what you were saying earlier, Jad, about how the women's struggle is to find a guy, like to find a quality dick, basically, a guy that's gonna be good for them, that's, gonna improve their life. And if you're coming in from a place of I'll do anything to get a girlfriend, you're going to end up with a girlfriend who hasn't got that skill. And you're kind of filtering for women who you're gonna filter out kind of healthy women who have like good instincts and know what they're doing, and you're only filtering for women who are a bit troubled and insecure, and on their own level they will just accept anything whether you like it or not.
Wow, that's very see, that's why I love Lizzie's perspective. She always comes in with,
Very good.
yeah, so basically you're just gonna attract undeveloped women, and then you're just gonna have a terrible relationship because undeveloped people are just terrible to be in relationships with.
Yeah, like we all know those couples who are in the most toxic relationships, and you're like, why are they doing that? But you know.
Very nice. Thank you, Lizzie. Yeah, that's good. Another thing that um a few things. Women are hypersensitive instruments. So you can't, like, aside from the women that are clueless, you can't really fool a woman. Just like I'm saying, I can see all your habits and everything. Women, that's why you think they're rejecting you because you acted a little awkward, or you were a bit imperfect or whatever. They're more rejecting you. We're talking about quality women who've got their shit together. They're rejecting you because they can see you don't have your shit together. One back to what Lizzie said. Oh, this guy's not on my level. He's a nice guy, yeah, whatever, but he's not on my level. Why would I, a quality woman who has abundance of choice, choose something lesser? It's just not going to happen. So, what I want to say is you can't trick your way into it, into getting a quality woman. Rather, you need to develop to the point when where you show up, she's like, God damn, this guy's got shit going on, you know?
And also, even if you can, like, say it works, and like you do get this amazing girlfriend, the truth is gonna come out, and then after however long, a few months or whatever, she's gonna be like, "Oh, I'm not feeling it anymore," and then you're getting rejected, and the rejection's gonna be a lot worse than if she just rejected you that first day, and you've knocked your confidence again. Um, yeah, and now you're feeling even worse than you were in the beginning.
Yeah, yeah. So let's kind of bring it a bit practical. So if you're asking, okay, Jad, you're talking about becoming the highest version of myself. Maybe some guys are going to be like, you know what? I'm a working professional. I go to the gym. I do all this stuff, but women still ignore me. So what you're saying isn't true, Jad. Here's the piece that you need. You need to be socializing in person, in real life, on a regular basis. At least I would say at least like once a week at minimum with women to build your confidence. Your confidence needs to be built. And we're living in such a digital age right now that, um, yeah, like if you're just trying to get women off of dating apps and just like crossing your fingers, again, even if you land those dates, you're not seasoned. You don't have practice. So when you're showing up to the dates, even though maybe you are disciplined and you have a good job and all this stuff, and you know what we're saying, you're a good guy, you're still not understanding the game. The game needs to be learned through trial and error. And I think the stress of actually going out there and practicing steadily and interacting with women enough is not being stressed enough these days. You can't cheat your way out of that either.
Yeah, because then you're gonna be the guy that she's saying to her friends like, "Oh, he was so nice and good looking and like, had a good job and everything, but I don't know, something just felt off, you know?"
Yeah, perfect, perfect. Yeah, guys, so you got to get your game tight. You need to understand the psychology of the game as well.
You need to socialize enough so that it's not stressful and it's fun for you. That's where you socialize enough, I guess.
Yeah, and so Mehmet's a good example. He really developed himself a lot, and he went out and socialized a lot. And maybe just kind of share with the guys what was your journey from being, let's say, whatever you were struggling with socially to now being to the point where I had a Mehmet referred his friend to me, and I was working with his friend, and his friend told me, "Oh man, I went out with Mehmet, and like, oh my God, Mehmet just talks to everyone and he's so confident. He's like amazing. I want to be like Mehmet one day." Right? So just to give you an idea, like, he walks his talk. So how did you go from zero to hero? Like, from A to B kind of thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm the hero. I have it all. I learned from this conference a lot, even now. So I used to be a very shy person. I grew up in a traditional family and I used to go to religious schools where we didn't even talk to. The classes were mixed, but we were always ignoring the opposite sex and playing around with boys. So in the university, I couldn't even have eye contact with girls because I was ashamed that they would understand I liked them and they would see me low if they would understand that I'm into them. Later, I tried to read books and apply tactics, watching American movies, the guy is going and saying the right thing, doing the right thing, and getting the girl. I believed into this stuff because it's the only thing that's in front of you. Your father or your brother is never talking about these things to you, like how to have a girlfriend, etc. And then one day I had it enough and typed how to get a girlfriend on Google, and luckily, thanks to God, I stumbled upon you instead of a fake ass motherfucker. Thanks to you, I read your online book. I sent you an email. Then when we started working together, step by step, I removed all my false beliefs. And because I had a fantastic university and the social life was so great, I could easily socialize and apply everything. It was painful, a lot of rejections, a lot of making a fool of yourself because you understand something wrong. But eventually, I become very normal and relaxed around girls. And as soon as I started liking myself, I I re it's really about developing a healthy relationship with yourself and other people around you. It's never about saying the right thing or doing the right thing and getting something.
So tell me more about it's more about developing a loving relationship with yourself and the people around you. What does that mean?
As we always say, you need to like yourself in the beginning. Yeah, and you cannot like yourself if you are not keeping the promises you gave to yourself. So you need to live in integrity, do what you said you were going to do. Even if it's I will go socialize once per week, you need to go socialize so you feel good about yourself. Hey, you need to match with your own standards. Even if it's not 100%, if you do it 20%, you will like yourself more. And when you like yourself, you feel less ashamed. You try to you don't try to hide yourself. Maybe now you come to 50% with what your standards are, and now you don't even feel the need of hiding that you are on your way to the top. Now you accepted yourself, and maybe you are joking about sometimes I am not being disciplined. Uh, When when you accept yourself, build your relationship with yourself, and the second part is building a healthy relationship with others, which means not trying to manipulate, not lying, not reducing them to an object because you want something out of them. Imagine I am the guy I was talking about. I am very inconsiderate. I am trying to pick a girl up and the girl's mom is having cancer. Maybe she is very upset about this. You don't even know anything and the only thing you want out of this girl is to like you. Yeah, how can you be this shallow? Ask the person in front of you how they are first, before you get into your tactics and routines. Develop a healthy relationship with your surroundings. See them as who they are.
Excellent.
It's it's not even about dating, like being a decent human being.
Yeah, yeah. So coming back to what I said about women are very sensitive, let's say they're very sensitive. They can pick up on so they can pick up on your intentions. There's a word called hidden intentions, right? So if you had a hidden intention that you're just treating her like an object and you just want to fuck her and that's all you care about, let me tell you this, hidden intentions aren't actually hidden. Another reason why women smile and say, "Oh, thank you, but no thank you," is they're letting you off politely on the surface, but in their mind, they're like, "This guy has bad intentions." So she didn't reject you because you weren't confident enough or anything else. She rejected you because she felt the impure intention that you were just selfishly looking at her like an object. Lizzie, do you want to give us kind of a perspective on that?
Yeah, I think there's um creepiness is a bad intention that's hidden, right? Like, I think people misunderstand creepiness as like, oh, the guy just it's like a catch-all word for like, oh, he just wasn't attractive enough or whatever. Like, oh, if he'd been hot, it would have been fine. But it's like I saw someone a really good description. It's like if you were standing at a public urinal and a guy came up behind you and then he bent down and tied his shoe. You're like, he hasn't actually done anything wrong there, right? Like, you can't turn around and, like, hit him, but you're like, that was so weird that he did that. You know, I feel like he had bad intentions there. That's how it feels.
Very good, very good. So, guys, women's number one need in this game is the need to feel safe. A lot of you are complaining that you're talking to women, but you're never connecting with them. You're not connecting with them because for a lot of you, you don't have that pure intention, which then causes her to feel not safe, which then causes her to close up, which then makes connection impossible. So again, a lot of times you think the problem is different than what it really is. A lot of times your root core problem with women is your absence of pure intention. So what Mehmet is telling you guys that is that we need to remind ourselves as men who go into what I call the pussy trance, and we're just like, oh, hot girl, hot girl, hot girl, that we sometimes, if we're honest, forget that she's a person, right? And you got to remember, oh, okay, here's something I do. So when I was doing day game, especially, that's how my brain would work. I'm like, oh, look, hot girl, hot girl. Let me go approach her, and then and then I'm like, okay, this is not a good thing to just look at her like an object. So then I was like, okay, stop, Jad. Give her a story. Okay, her name is Sarah. She just moved to Vancouver like a year ago. She works in a law firm. Right now, she's going shopping. She's a bit bored. It's the weekend. She couldn't hang out with her friends. So I give her a bit of a story first, and then I go approach her. You look at people as people and have a good intention to leave them better than you found them. Don't just be all up in what you want and what you need. Because, anyways, most of the time she's going to feel like you're just all about you. And that's a lot of times why women, I think, verbalize, oh, men just want me for sex. It's because men are giving that off. Like, they're not even, like, who are you? Like Mehmet is saying, like, ask the person how they're doing first.
And I'd say that applies just as much to casual sex as to a relationship. And I think that's where people go wrong. They think, like, oh, if it's just casual sex, you don't need that connection. But no, if anything, you need it more strongly at the beginning because you need to feel safe instantly if you're going to have casual sex with someone.
Nice.
That's the time it's most important to immediately show that you're seeing them as a person and that because also, you know, um, even if all she wants is sex, she needs to know that you're gonna make it a fun experience for her too, right?
Yeah, yeah. And like, even though it's casual sex, she still wants to be treated like a human being and actually being with someone who gives a fuck about her, not just as an object, right?
Yeah.
Very nice, Mehmet. Do you want to oh, I want to elaborate on something else that Mehmet said. Um, so coming back to liking yourself, there's a Nathaniel Brandon, the author of the book The Six Pillars of Self-Esteem. He said that self-esteem is the reputation you have with yourself. Self-esteem is the reputation you have with yourself. So for us to love ourselves, we have to have a good reputation with ourselves, which means that we have to do the things that we promised ourselves we need to do or the things we know we need to do. So Mehmet was saying, okay, in order to get this woman thing handled, I know I need to go out and socialize. And so, you go out and do that. But a lot of times in this game, like you show up, one night you freeze, you don't talk to anyone. Another night you plan to talk to five girls, you only talk to one. But the point is to continually go out there and try to keep your word to yourself and to be the version of yourself you're trying to be, even if you don't hit it at 100%. But that's how you're going to like yourself, is by keeping your word to yourself.
I want to elaborate on how to understand that you are not liking yourself. It, when you want to approach a girl or talk to a girl, whatever, if you are in your head, if the automatic thought is, oh, I will be disturbing her, oh, she will reject me, then probably you are not liking yourself. But if you like yourself, you are like, I can't wait her to get to know me because I am better than anyone, motherfucker. So, like, if you think you like yourself, but this is the automatic suggestion of your brain when you are meeting people, you try to get them like you, or the negative thoughts are coming in, then probably you should work towards liking yourself more.
100%. And another reminder is don't wait to be perfect in any area before you go and start talking to women. You're never going to be ready. You're never going to feel 100% enough. You're never going to like yourself enough to the point, like, if you're struggling with that, don't think, okay, well, I'm going to sit here and try to like myself and then talk to women. No, do both. Work on both at the same time, because everything takes time. It takes time to change your beliefs. It takes time to develop this skill. And like Mehmet said, like, there's a lot of failure. There's a lot of, so that's a skill on its own, to go out there and face the rejection. Facing women is really about facing yourself. Mastering this game is really about self-mastery. It is the man who has the balls to face himself honestly. Women are just going to be your mirror and show you everywhere you suck. Are you going to be man enough to say, okay, I suck here, let me fix it. Oh, I suck here, let me fix it. Or are you going to be a little bitch and join men's groups online and say, fuck women, they always reject me. Nah, 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 nah. Okay? You're either a bitch or a man. A man uses the mirror and says, oh, okay, apparently I suck. let me get better, right? So it's not women's fault. One recent thing I've been telling guys is, because there's a lot of narrative of like, women aren't worth it, this game isn't worth it, I'm just gonna go my own way, I'm not gonna fuck with women. Here's what I tell you if you're contemplating walking away from the game or thinking or buying into the women these days. The only man who has the right to say that and walk away from the game is the man who's first conquered the game. If you've conquered the game, shown us you got those balls, and then you're like, you know what? I conquered the game, but I don't think women are worth it, or this game is worth it, I'm going to walk away. Okay, fine. Fair enough. You earned it. But if you didn't conquer the game, you're hiding behind your hatred, saying, oh, women aren't worth. No, the truth is, you bitched out. You got slapped one too many times, knocked down one too many times, and now you're using women in the game as a scapegoat. You didn't earn the right to walk away. You just be honest and say, I don't have what it takes, so I'm gonna bitch out on this game. But you don't have the right to renounce the game or call yourself red pill or whatever people are saying these days. Conquer the game and then tell me you're walking away, motherfucker.
And it's not even about you. They were misguided. That's why they hated it and quit. If they were guided properly, it's so fun. They would never get out of it.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, coming back to, what Lizzie was saying about, like, if you had the misfortune of following the wrong people online and then they sold you on the hating women thing, and then yeah, it's just made it easier for you to quit. I've had guys come to me and they say, hey Jad, I used to watch your channel back in the day, but then I went down this other red pill. I don't even know what pill these days, but whatever, like the against women kind of thing. But you know what? Now after like 4 years, I realized that was wrong, so I came back. So like these guys are wasting 4 or 5 years going the wrong way only to realize, ah, shit, no, that's not the way. Then coming back. So don't be that guy, is that what I would tell. Any thoughts on that, Lizzie?
Yeah, it's just yeah, like you said, it's so easy to go down the wrong route, to be because they make huge promises, that, like, everything's that you're gonna be rich, you're gonna be successful with women and everything, and then when it doesn't happen, people get really disillusioned, and it's yeah,
Expectation management.
really,
Reminder, this game is fucking hard. That's why people who are good at this game, guys who are good at this game, get respect, because intuitively okay, you can't buy your way into this. So this guy must have really, used his balls to get there. So, welcome the challenge. Instead of thinking, oh, why is this so hard? Be like, oh, the harder this is, the more beautiful of a man I will emerge at the other side. You want to be that tested motherfucker, right? A tested motherfucker is beautiful. He walks in the room and women just like, oh, that's the guy. You don't even have to say anything. And you walk up, you say hi, and she already knows. So, want difficult. Okay, so we'll wrap it up for today. Thank you so much to our esteemed guests, Lizzie and Mehmet. Hopefully many meetings to come. Please leave your comments below. We welcome you to join the mastermind. The link is below or on my channel page. And also we welcome you to leave any feedback. And I welcome you to challenge anything we've said. I assure you everything fits. If you misunderstood anything or perceived that something didn't make sense, bring it to our attention. We will elaborate on it and show you that nothing contradicts anything that we're saying. So with that, I wish everyone a great day, and we will see you very soon in coming podcasts. Take care.
Peace.